You look at Chris Barnwell of Team Canada as we welcome you to Rogers Centre. 40,000 plus expected, and the game is now underway as Jake Peavy delivers the first pitch, a strike to Barnwell. I'm Jamie Campbell with Sam Cosentino. Thank you for joining us. We will keep you updated on the Netherlands-Dominican Republic finish. But we figured we would not want to miss a pitch here, as this is quite a matchup. The United States against Canada in the opener here at Rogers Centre. Jake Peavy on the hill for the United States, a 27-year-old from Mobile, Alabama, and just 2 years ago a Cy Young Award winner in the National League. 2 strikes on the leadoff man Barnwell, and he fouls it away.
Some of those not familiar with Barnwell gets the nod at shortstop for Ernie Wood in the leadoff position, due in large part to his ability to get on base. And we even saw that, Jamie, throughout the course of the 3 pre-tournament games, getting on base with at least 1 hit or a walk in each of the 3 games.
0-2 pitch, and Barnwell goes fishing, so he's gone on strikes, and Peavy is through the first batter.
Well, Jake Peavy is a guy who likes to keep the ball down in the zone, and that's where he is most successful, Jamie. He'll throw a sinker and slider as well. Look at his record over the course of last year with the Padres, 10-11. Doesn't prove to be all that good, but that 2.85 ERA on a mediocre San Diego team with 173 innings pitched, that number down as well just a little bit after missing a month due to some elbow soreness throughout the course of the season.
Hitting second for Team Canada is Russ Martin, the all-star catcher from the Los Angeles Dodgers, and he looks at strike 1. We spoke with Jason Bay. Excuse me, Sam. We spoke with Jason Bay prior to the game, and he said the philosophy early on will be to try and make Peavy throw as many pitches as possible.
Well, Jamie, if you look at Jake Peavy over the course of his career, the average pitch per inning is between 14.5 and 15. Peavy over 16.3 pitches per innings pitched. So that's something they may be able to take advantage of.
The 1-1 to Martin, he fouls it away. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
And we talk about that because there is a pitch count limit in effect. It's a little more than what it was in 2006 due to the extra week of spring training and the time that these players have had to play in some pre-tournament games. That count now at 70, so that's something that for both sides we'll keep our eye on throughout the course of the game.
Pitch a little down. So says the home plate umpire Marvin Hudson, as Russ Martin here works against Jake Peavy. Just underway, coast to coast on Rogers Sportsnet. We thank you for joining us at 2-2 en route to Martin, and that's a little bit outside, 3-2.
And isn't that exactly what Jason Bay talked about? He said Peavy is a guy who's going to try and miss just a little on either side of the plate. A perfect pitch there, as this one just misses a little wide, with Martin showing great plate discipline.
So here comes the payoff to Martin, and it's ball 4.
But if you're Jake Peavy, that's exactly where you want to live. You want to live down in the zone. He's a pitcher who has much more success down there, and I'm sure if he's going to miss, that's an area in which he wants to miss. This one too low as Martin is able to draw the walk. Peavy not exactly enthralled by that idea.
Well, if you don't think there's emotion tied up in this game, note the reaction of Jake Peavy there. One of the holdovers from the 2006 Classic. He well remembers the loss to Team Canada there. As Joey Votto steps in, a base hit up the middle for Votto. Rounding second is Russ Martin, and he goes to third. Votto has Canada's first hit of the tournament.
And knowing that Peavy is going to live around the zone, Joey Votto is able to take advantage of the first pitch. A little down in the zone. That's where lefties like it. Votto able to deliver that pitch right back up the middle off Peavy, and now first and third here for Team Canada.
A little smile from Joey, because after talking to him yesterday, he has not been happy with where his swing has been the last few days.
But he did say, Jamie, that before coming to those pre-tournament games, he had some success in some at-bats with Cincinnati. I'm sure he's happy to get that one out of the way here, especially on home soil.
That base hit gets the crowd right into the game and brings up Justin Morneau, Canada's masher, hitting in the 4-hole. And we can update you now. An upset has taken place as the Netherlands has defeated the Dominican. Youkilis drops the ball. The force is taken off. Here comes Martin, and Canada leads 1-0.
Well, good things happen when you hit the ball hard, but this is a tailor-made double play for Kevin Youkilis. He's unable to get a handle on it. He was simply thinking double play before he was able to catch the ball. By doing so, he lifts his head at the last second, bobbles that ball, takes the sure out at first base. And pretty fortunate here for Canada, still have that runner in scoring position. You'll see Youkilis look up. That little peek right there cost them the out. Still able to get a pretty good throw over, and it hits Votto on the way in, allowing him to be safe.
So with two gone, right-handed hitter Jason Bay steps in. Bay from Trail, British Columbia, traded mid-season last year from Pittsburgh to Boston and did a wonderful job of taking over left field for Manny Ramirez, facing a guy he would know well from his days in the National League in Jake Peavy. Once again, the Netherlands with a 3-2 upset of the Dominican Republic. So already, Sam, some interesting games taking place here at the WBC. 1-0 on Bay and a called strike. Bay certainly feels the nerves today, although he said, I feel it for game 82 of a 162 game schedule. So nothing new there. Swing and a miss, and he's behind 1-2.
Well, Bay's a guy who, especially since moving over to Boston, he's used to playing in these type of situations. Loud, raucous crowds. And situation here where maybe the nerves are a little more amped just due to the fact that it's being played here in Canada.
Breaking pitch off the plate, so it's 2-2. Already here in the first inning, Peavy has thrown 17 pitches. And as Sam mentioned earlier, the pitch count in round one is 70.
Little slider away that Bay was able to let pass quite easily, missing way off the plate.
There's the appeal. Bay doesn't go, and it's a full count. Joey Votto stands at second. Already a run in as Russ Martin comes in to score. 1-0 for the Canadians.
Good restraint there by Bay to lay off that pitch from Peavy.
Matt Stairs awaits on deck. The 3-2 coming from Jake Peavy. And it's high for ball four. What a way to get the crowd into this ball game.
That's just a great plate appearance for Jason Bay, able to work that count back to full with a check swing, and the final pitch of that plate appearance able to lay off as well. And we cannot stress the importance of building up pitch counts.
A hearty reception for Fredericton's Matt Stairs. Now with the Philadelphia Phillies, a folk hero in Philadelphia after his home run against the Dodgers in the National League Championship Series. And he takes the ball. So Peavy, who 2 years ago, Sam, was a unanimous selection for the Cy Young Award in the National League, has really struggled a little bit here in the opening inning.
And you have to give Team Canada a lot of credit for the patience in which it has showed so far.
2 men on for Canada, 2 gone. A swing and a miss from Stairs.
Pretty atypical swing by Stairs there. He's a guy who rarely leaves anything in the tank. Not the hardest swing I've ever seen him take, but you can bet here with 2 strikes left that he'll get a good pass at one of these.
That's inside, and it hit him. Matt Stairs trots down to first. He's hit on the pitch inside from Peavy, and the bases are now loaded.
While Stairs really holding his ground, you can see him inside part of the plate protecting it well. It just barely goes off his elbow, and maybe even the shirt sleeve. He looks back right away to help sell that to plate umpire Marvin Hudson, and as a result ends up taking the walk and loading the bases. A pretty good sell job by Stairs.
I was going to say, based on that replay, Academy Award nomination, but they'll take it. Mark Teahen, the third baseman. a left-handed hitter who takes strike one. If you're wondering at home, why is Canada hitting first if they're playing on home soil? Well, they are a lower seeded team than the Americans in this pool. So the Americans are designated as the home team for this game. That's a called strike, and it's 0-2 on Tian.
Pretty good paint job there by Peavy, and that's exactly where he's going to live, down in the zone, and a ball or two outside on the corners. With the plate discipline that Canada has displayed so far, it may force him to shrink down a little bit and take away some of that 1 or 2 ball pitch repertoire that he may want to feature here.
Here comes the 0-2, swung on and missed, and that's it for Team Canada. But they make Jake Peavy throw 25 pitches, and they score a run. So early on, it's the Canadians on top, 1-0. We'll be back on Rogers Sportsnet. All eyes on Team Canada and Team USA here at Rogers Center. The lineup for the United States, and leading off, Dustin Pedroia, the recently crowned MVP in the American League. Pretty good lineup it is. Jeter, Jones, and Wright go 2, 3, and 4. Kevin Youkilis is a solid first baseman. And there's some pop at the bottom of the order. One pitch, and Chris Barnwell says 1 out as he throws on to Justin Morneau as Mike Johnson gets the ground ball. And there's out number 1 here in the last of the first.
The defense for Canada looks like this from left to right in the outfield. It's Nick Weglars, Jason Bay, and Matt Stairs. Chris Barnwell makes the first play of the game for Canada. He'll team up with Peter Orr up the middle. Mark Tian and Justin Morneau man the corners. Mike Johnson on the hill. He's throwing to Dodgers catcher Russell Martin.
Johnson to face Derek Jeter. And a strike thrown, and that's the key for the 33-year-old from Sherwood Park, Alberta, just outside of Edmonton. He deals here, and Jeter goes after it. 0-2.
A 4-pitch guy, and you see him run that fastball up and in to the right-handed swinging Jeter. Jeter likes that ball out over the plate where he can take it out of the other way. But he's also a guy you don't want to cheat with too much unless you get that ball way in, as that one did there.
2 strikes on Jeter. And some movement on that ball, 1-2. Ernie Witt gave the assignment to Mike Johnson in part because he knew he could handle it. Johnson was in the majors for about 5 years. In fact, he started on Don Mattingly Day at Yankee Stadium in August of 1997 in front of 55,000 and threw a complete game, though he lost against the Yankees. Jeter slices the ball down the right field line, and that's a base hit. Stairs goes over to get the carom, and Jeter has a 1-out double.
And that's exactly where we talked about Jeter wanting to take that ball the other way. He's such a good 2-strike hitter, doesn't give the at-bat away. Johnson leaves that ball middle away, which is where Martin wanted it, but you see it start to cut back across the corner of the plate. If you're going to miss with that pitch with 2 strikes, you have to miss 4 or 5 balls out, because Jeter will go out there and get that pitch as he did there to double it down the right field line.
Jeter certainly felt the sting of a loss to Canada in 2006, and so too did Chipper Jones, who steps in now as the American designated hitter, a switch hitter who bats from the left side against Johnson. Man on second, and 1 away. The ball gets away from Martin, but he recovers.
Martin calls time quickly, and it looked to me, Jamie, as if he might have been crossed up on that particular pitch, a breaking ball to start the at-bat, and that's exactly why Martin will take that trot out there. Of course, Jamie, when these two haven't worked together before, it presents some challenges, and it presents more challenges when you have a runner on second base when some of those signs may be relayed back. You look at the reaction by Martin here after that Jeter base hit. That's the double by Jeter, actually. And if you look at the reaction after the pitch we just saw to Jones, it was quite clear that he was crossed up.
Johnson and Martin are not very familiar with each other as such. After their last exhibition game in Florida, they boarded the plane on Thursday and sat together on the plane with a computer that Martin brought along, and he was showing off some of the different hitting aspects from the American side. In fact, Johnson also huddled with the backup catcher Luke Carlin, just so they were on the same page when he took the mound today against the United States. Chipper Jones, the hitter, 2 balls and no strikes. Derek Jeter at second base with a 1-out double. 1-0 for Canada. 2-0 is on the way, and that looks pretty good, but it's called ball 3 to the dismay of the crowd here.
Pretty good breaking ball that just misses, and you see very little reaction on the part of Johnson, and that's exactly why Ernie Whitt wanted him in this spot, a guy who's not going to be too rattled.
Swing and a miss on the 3-0. Chipper Jones has faced Johnson before, back when Mike was a Montreal Expo and Chipper was an Atlanta Brave, but as he said yesterday, my memory isn't very good, so we'll try and dig up a little tape on him before the game.
And of course, over the course of that time, your pitching repertoire would change. He's been through a Tommy John surgery. He's had to reinvent himself, adding a cut fastball to his repertoire. So definitely not the same guy he was in '97.
Good looking pitch from Johnson, catches the zone, and it's 3-2 on Chipper Jones with David Wright on deck for the Americans.
Johnson 20-2 last year. He's not afraid to use that good fastball, just moving away from Jones, and it catches a good part of the plate.
Here's the payoff, and he got him. Strike 3 called.
Chipper Jones fooled, and Mike Johnson has so much confidence in his slider that he's able to throw it at any point in the count, clearly fooling Jones there. And what a battle back for Johnson to move from 3-0 to come back and strike out Chipper Jones. Over the course of his major league career, has pitched in 81 games, the ERA well over 6. And if you look at his innings pitched, that's basically 1 year for any starter. 218 innings is a good year for any starter. So not a ton of big league time, but enough to be able to handle this situation.
David Wright is the number 4 hitter, and he falls behind 0-1. Johnson came into the major leagues with Baltimore, and his manager in 1997 just happened to be Davey Johnson, who skippers the United States today. Here's Wright, the all-star third baseman with the Mets, looking at an 0-1 pitch. Jeter at second, pitch on the way, swing and a miss, and it's 0-2.
Unlike the pitch to Jeter, Johnson is able to really move this one on the outside part of the plate, and no chance for Wright to get to it. It's just way too far out. Able to waste one, a breaking ball that started outside and continued further away, trying to get Wright to chase.
Runs it in. 2-2.
Breaking ball before used to set up that fastball inside, just trying to run it in on the hands of Wright. But again, a good hitter with great plate discipline.
Manager Ernie Whitt looks on from the bench. 2-2 on David Wright. Check of the runner, and here's the pitch. Little squibber and foul ground, and they'll try again. Wright's part of this big name American infield. Last year with the Mets, a career high 33 home runs, a 3-time All-Star.
What a great young player. You look at Derek Jeter with the Yankees, and I think David Wright is the Derek Jeter of the Mets.
The broken bat, look out. And again, a roller foul. There's the garbage there out in shallow left.
You can see what Russell Martin is trying to do. Work the out. You saw that last pitch foul away to the first base side. Then he comes back in and he saws right off. I mean, that's barely above the letters in the batting gloves. Got good run to his ball right now, does Mike Johnson.
He just flew in from Korea about 5 days ago and may still be feeling the effects of jet lag. 2-2 pitch. Breaking ball, strike three. What a start for Mike Johnson. After one at Rogers Center, it's 1-0 Canada. Two Americans and two Japanese handle the umpiring here at Rogers Center today as the United States takes on Canada with veteran Major League umpire Marvin Hudson behind home plate. I'm Jamie Campbell with Sam Cosentino. So glad you've tuned in today to watch this matchup, the first game in this pool of the WBC, and obviously a mix of American and Canadian flags throughout. Nick Weglars, the youngest man in the starting lineup for Team Canada, is the hitter. Nick is a 21-year-old from Stevensville, Ontario. Was born in Niagara Falls, a third-round pick of the Cleveland Indians, and this kid has some pop. On the ground, hard hit. Pedroia to his right, and he throws out Weglars for the first out.
Dustin Pedroia, no stranger to some fine glove work over at second base. What a year he had with the Red Sox last year. Pretty tough to beat that. He and Derek Jeter will work the double play combination for Team USA.
Jake Peavy now faces Peter Orr, who has spent 3 years with the Atlanta Braves and last year with the Washington Nationals. Orr comes from Richmond Hill, Ontario, just north of Toronto. 0-1 pitch on the way from Peavy. Saws off the bat, a one-hopper for Jeter, and Orr is gone, 2 away.
Peavy much more efficient here in inning number 2, able to throw just a couple of pitches, pick up the first 2 outs in the inning. And Peter Orr is a guy who some thought might lead off for Ernie Whitt. Instead, he hits him in the 9-hole in that second leadoff spot. Good cut fastball there by Peavy to induce a fairly easy one-hopper to Jeter.
So back to the top of the order, and Chris Barnwell. Who Greg Hamilton, the director of Baseball Canada, likens to Stubby Clapp, who comes off the bench for Team Canada today. A spark plug at the top of the order. He reaches for that one. A slow roller taken by Jeter. And it's a 1-2-3 inning for Jake Peavy and the Americans. When we return, Youkilis, Dunn, and Braun for the United States. After 1.5, it's 1-0 Canada. It's only March, and there is a playoff environment at Rogers Center today. A packed house here in Toronto as Canada leads the United States 1-0. Coast to coast on Rogers Sportsnet. We're glad you've joined us. I'm Jamie Campbell with Sam Cosentino. Kevin Youkilis leads off the last of the second inning for Team USA and faces Mike Johnson. Johnson is throwing strikes, and he gets ahead of the batter 0-2.
Kevin Youkilis makes the switch from third base to first base. Doesn't really skip a beat with the glove, and we all know what he can do with the bat.
Had a great year last year with the Boston Red Sox. Finished third in MVP voting. Career highs with 168 hits, 29 home runs, and 115 RBIs. A 1-2 pitch on the way, right in at the knees, and Youkilis does well to get out of the way.
And that's Johnson just sending a message to try and buy back some of the outside part of the plate. Martin wanted it in, not quite that in, but you can expect Johnson now to move back away with a breaking ball here.
The 2-2 offering just off the plate, and it's a full count.
A pretty good looking pitch, but Youkilis is known in the book Moneyball as the Greek god of walks, and here he lays off this good breaking ball away from Johnson.
Ball 4. So Youkilis draws a walk to open the American side of the second.
Well, Jamie, you get a look at the dimensions here at the Rogers Center. 328 down the left field line. The gap's even at 375 apiece in a symmetrical park, as center field is 400 feet away from home plate. Of course, right field the same as left, 320 feet away.
Adam Dunn might enjoy hitting here as the ball gets away from Johnson. 1-0 on Dunn, who now finds himself employed by the Washington Nationals, one of the good power hitters in the National League.
And also a candidate to hit into a double play here, and Youkilis will have to be heady over at first base.
Dunn led the National League last year with 40 home runs, and when was the last time we could say that a league leader in home runs only had 40?
I mean, this guy is a power hitter in the true sense of the word, able to hit that 40 home run plateau 5 times already in his career.
A ball and a strike now, and that's up high, 2-1.
I really like the way Russell Martin is calling these pitches for Johnson. He's moving east-west, he's going north-south, and Johnson has seemingly been able to respond, putting it in just about every spot that Martin has asked it for.
Well, Johnson got through the first fairly easily, 18 pitches. He struck out a pair, gave up a double to Derek Jeter. No damage done, but here a man on already and a 3-1 count to a big hitter like Adam Dunn. Here's the pitch, and it's on the ground, but foul.
And that's the thing about Johnson. You know, Jamie, when you and I talked to him during our research in Florida, he said, hey, I'm pretty confident in throwing a slider. That's the best pitch, the pitch I have the most control of. I'll throw it at any time in the count. He also said the same thing about the changeup, but I don't think that would necessarily be the best selection here against a big power hitter like Dunn.
Youkilis takes his lead off first. And the payoff to Dunn. Another walk. Ball 4. So back-to-back walks for the Americans to begin the second.
I think Johnson just missing a little low, but when you fall behind 3-1 to a hitter like Dunn, you don't want to come in with a fastball here and serve it up on a platter. You want to try and do your best to get him to move just a little bit. Dunn, of course, no stranger to the strikeout, but has the ability to lay off there as Ernie Witt and pitching coach Denny Boucher to Ernie's left look on.
And one of the great things about this tournament, as you move down the order in some of these lineups, you find guys like Ryan Braun, who last year hit 37 home runs, and he's hitting 7th.
What an athlete. I mean, able to transition from third base to left field last year and not make an error. Pick up 9 outfield assists.
Here's a chopper to third. Tian comes down with it. Off to second for 1. No play at first as Youkilis rounds third. But Morneau keeps it in the infield.
Well, Pete Orr got a little rambunctious there. A 2-hopper that's high to Tian. Now Orr wants to turn this thing over. Dunn bears down on him. Does a good job in taking Orr out and forcing that throw off course. Morneau, knowing that that was not going to be a double play, removes himself from the bag as Youkilis looks down at third base to try and score that run. But it was not had as Morneau made a great play to come off the bag.
Dunn gets a refreshment. Braun now on first after a fielder's choice. Youkilis advancing to third. Man on the corners, 1 away. And the number 8 hitter is Brian McCann, a 3-time All-Star with the Atlanta Braves.
And that one handcuffed Russell Martin just a little as Johnson falls behind 2-0. Peter Orr looking on at second base, up the middle, playing double play depth. They tried to do that with Dunn, but it was not successful.
Dunn is at 40 home runs. Braun, who batted behind him, has 37 a year ago, and now Brian McCann has some pretty good pop for a catcher. 23 home runs last year with the Braves, and a 2-1 count. Here's Johnson dealing, and the pitch is whacked out to center field for Jason Bay. Youkilis tags, and this game is tied at 1.
Brian McCann fired up, and a nice job here to get this ball in the air. Your goal, runner on third, less than 2 outs, is to pick up that run any way possible. McCann with a good line shot to center field. No question, no problem whatsoever for Youkilis to score on that to tie this game up.
Two out now, and Shane Victorino grounds to first. It goes off the glove of Morneau into right field. All the way to third goes Braun. And that will extend the inning for Mike Johnson. First and third again for the United States.
Victorino jumping on that first pitch. A curveball by Mike Johnson. Victorino patient, waits back on it, keeps the hands back, and is able to hit it hard. Morneau protecting the runner at first, just 2 steps off the bag, and when he made that dive to his right, unable to get it cleanly.
That presents a chance for Dustin Pedroia to get a 2-out hit and give the Americans the lead. He stands it against Johnson. Pedroia grounded to short on the first pitch he saw in the bottom of the first inning.
And you can see Morneau wanting to play that pull side against Victorino, just that 1 step off after covering the runner. That ball was hit so hard that even Morneau couldn't catch up to.
Check of the runner, and Victorino just gets back in time.
You've got a pretty good feel here for what Davey Johnson wants to do. Victorino's a guy who can steal a base. Of course, the 3 games and the couple of extra days in between for Team Canada to work out, they'll have their first and third defense intact and ready to execute.
He was leaning a little. Last year, Victorino stole 37 bags with the Philadelphia Phillies. He's keeping things interesting for Mike Johnson. And he's gone immediately. Grounded to short, though. Barnwell to first. And that's the second inning. The Americans pick up a run and tie it at 1. You're watching the World Baseball Classic on Rogers Sportsnet. Back underway at Rogers Center in Toronto. Russ Martin leads off the third inning for Team Canada, facing Jake Peavy of the United States. A run in the first for Canada, 1 in the second for the United States. As Peavy, who plays in the National League West, faces a man he knows quite well, Russ Martin.
Good season last year in the 155 games he played, hit .280. And what an addition to this Canadian lineup. In 2006, Martin was vying for a spot on the Dodgers roster. Obviously made it successfully. This time around, really wanted to be a part of this. And Jamie, you and I had a chance to chat with him before he left the field yesterday, and he was some kind of fired up for this thing, wasn't he?
The emotion these players feel for representing their country is very real, and we've learned that over the last couple of days. And you see Jay on the back of his jersey. That is in honor of his mom as he rips the ball down the left field line and foul. He will wear the J on his jersey throughout the year with the Los Angeles Dodgers in honor of his mom, whose surname is Jeanson. What a nice touch for Russ Martin.
Yeah, it sure is. And everyone is so familiar with the story between he and his father that he probably felt as if his mother didn't get her just due, and so a very nice tribute.
A ball and 2 strikes on Martin, and he rips that one, but right at Youkilis. And Martin's gone.
Youkilis in great position, well off the bag over at first base. Perfectly positioned to take this line drive as he goes to his knees. But Martin has to be happy and take away the fact that he hit the ball pretty hard.
Back comes Joey Votto, who picked up the lone Canadian hit in the first inning. And what a refreshing individual. Joey plays for the Cincinnati Reds. When they played an interleague series here in Toronto in June against the Blue Jays, he went 1 for 11 and figured he spent too much time concentrating on which one of his friends wanted to drive him to the ballpark. So for this game, he hopped on a GO train. And for those not familiar with this area, that's one of the commuter trains that services the outlying areas from his home in Brampton. So if you're watching at home and you're up the Brampton GO train station later today, you might just see Joey. He rips this ball high.
You might be seeing a lot of Joey.
Goodbye. Home run, Joey Votto.
Absolutely crushed. A no-doubter by Votto into the second deck here at the Rogers Center. And sweet redemption for that series in June that you touched on with the Reds last year.
Now Justin Morneau, who can do that kind of thing.
Votto set this ball right down the heart of the plate, and it leaves, and leaves in a hurry.
1-1 on Morneau.
Another look from up top, and you can tell instantly, as could the entire USA team, as they stood and watched that one go.
Votto's mentor in amateur ball was a gentleman by the name of Bob Smythe with the Etobicoke Rangers. And he says that Joey used to go in the batting cage and hit until his hands bled.
And Jamie, I had the opportunity to play for Bobby Smythe as a young player growing up in the Etobicoke area, just a little west of Toronto, and he was no easy guy to play for. He was very hard on Joey Votto, and it's only now that Votto really starts to appreciate that tough love that Smythe showed is really starting to pay off.
2-2 inside. Peavy perhaps a little rattled as he faces Morneau after giving up the long ball to Votto. Up to 45 pitches now, and down by a run to the Canadians, 2-1. Here's the payoff to Morneau, and he rolls it foul.
And you get the feeling with that hack that Morneau would like to follow up Votto's home run with one of his own. Home runs down a little last year, but you talk about clutch. When you only hit 23 home runs and you're still able to drive in 130, that says a lot about his approach.
Ball 4. Another walk issued by Peavy. That's 3 today. And it lends itself to the theory that the Canadian wanted to try and make him work for the outs.
And you add a hit batsman, you add a couple of strikeouts, and now that pitch count is up to 47. The limit here is 70 pitches.
A very formidable 3, 4, and 5 for Team Canada. The 5th is Jason Bay. 1 away, 1 in, 1 on, ball 1.
Fastball up from Peavy, and with that pitch now at 48, and Jamie, that's two things they want to get Jake Peavy to do. A, throw a lot of pitches, B, get him up in the zone.
The winner of this game plays tomorrow here at Rogers Center in a game you'll see on Rogers Sportsnet. And they will face the winner of Italy and Venezuela, who play here later tonight. Hitters count for Bay, 2-0. And he's having some trouble right now, 3-0. There's Matt Stairs. Itching to get to the plate with some men on.
Purely a take situation there, a 3-0 count for Bay. Just allow that one to pass, build up that pitch count, and be ready for something to hit at 3-1.
Seems to be mumbling to himself, is Peavy. And another walk. They'll appeal, and Bay went around.
Minoru Nakamura is the first base umpire. Bay surely thought he had a walk. We get a look from the open side here, and a pretty good call. A lot of times, Jamie, those check swing calls, the umpires are right about 95% of the time, and that was a good call there.
So change of fortune for Peavy. A 3-2, strike 3 called, and Bay is gone. And boy, the man on the mound for the Americans right now has to feel good about the result.
Bay looking fastball. This one starts on the outside of the plate and is able to run it back and backdoor him there. And Bay could do nothing but buckle the knees and watch this one go by.
So with 2 out, Stairs will swing against Peavy. Fouls it straight back. Stairs had his elbow grazed, or at least his jersey, in the first inning and helped extend that inning a little bit.
Acquired at the trade deadline by Philadelphia, and what a great acquisition it was. Veteran presence, left-handed bat off the bench, and a guy who was pretty successful in helping the Phillies to a World Series.
He's behind here 0-2. And of course, that famous home run he hit in Los Angeles in the National League Championship Series came off Jonathan Broxton, who just happens to be in the U.S. bullpen. Might that be an interesting late game matchup? 0-2 on Stairs, and he rips it foul.
That's one thing about Matt Stairs. You watch him over the course of his career. Rarely does he get cheated. If he's going down, he's going down on his terms.
Peavy's pitch count now at 56, so there is some action in the U.S. bullpen. As the count now goes to a ball and 2 strikes.
But Troy Hawkins gets up in the pen, and a great tribute to Jackie Robinson as he wears that number 42.
He wouldn't be able to do that in the major leagues.
Oh, that number's retired.
Wave and a miss on a pitch way outside, so Stairs is down on strikes, and Peavy gets out of the top half of the third, but not without giving up a bomb to Etobicoke's Joey Votto. Here in Toronto, it's Canada 2 and the United States 1. Keep up with all the latest World Baseball Classic news and stats, and visit the official online shop of the World Baseball Classic, www.worldbaseballclassic.com. Back underway. Jeter turns away from the Johnson offering as we begin the lower half of the third inning with the number 2, 3, and 4 hitters for the United States: Jeter, Chipper Jones, and David Wright. This is Jamie Campbell with Sam Cosentino. Are we ever glad that you've joined us today? As Jeter grounds to third. There's Mark Teahen, and Jeter's gone on a couple of pitches.
Well, Mark Teahen says his favorite position to play is third base. Of course, he was moved from third base to right field last year, and now the Kansas City Royals and Trey Hillman want him to play second base. So he will get some looks over at second base out of respect to the Kansas City Royals, but on this occasion gets the start for Canada at third.
He was chuckling yesterday about his new bench coach in Kansas City, John Gibbons, the former manager of the Blue Jays. Ball 1 to Chipper Jones. Here's the man from Sherwood Park, Alberta, Johnson's thrown 41 pitches, gets a swing and a miss from Jones. As you touched on earlier, Sam, Johnson wanted to be part of the 2006 Classic, but he had arm surgery right before. Never dreamt he'd be starting this game against the United States. Here's Morneau. He'll take it himself.
And what a story it is, Jamie. You know, when you look at Mike Johnson and what he's had to go through throughout his career, now into his 17th season of professional baseball, gets a call from Taiwan. Hey, do you want to come and play for us? Yeah, we'll give it a try. Well, he goes over there and he realizes that, hey, this might be my last kick at the can. I'm going to start to enjoy the game again. And when he started to enjoy the game again, that's when he started to have success. Going 20-2 over 183 2/3 innings pitched.
And was able to spin it into a contract, a much more lucrative contract with a team in the Korean League. This is a guy who just 2 years ago was released, in part due to injuries, by the Edmonton Cracker Cats in independent ball, and thought at that time that perhaps his career was over. But here he is on a huge stage as David Wright pops it up, and Orr is there. 1, 2, 3 for Mike Johnson in the third. Still a 2-1 Canada lead. We'll return on Rogers Sportsnet right after this.
What a 7-pitch inning that was. Tremendous.
Jake Peavy's day is now over. He's gone after 3 innings, gave up 2 runs on 2 hits, and he gives way to LaTroy Hawkins, a late addition to this American team. The United States inside of a week lost Joe Nathan and B.J. Ryan, and Hawkins along with Joel Hanrahan were the replacements. So now he's on to face Canada in the top of the 4th inning, with Canada ahead 2-1. Little roller, and this will be a tough play. Pedroia fires to first and gets Tian.
Tian not quite fleet of foot as some of the rest of the lineup here. But this hops over Hawkins' head. Good job here by Pedroia, and I like how he approached that ball front on as opposed to taking it on the backhand. He's able to take that and in stride, able to plant that back foot, make a good strong throw over to first base to get Tian.
Nick Weglars steps in again. And what a time this must be for Weglars, who's obviously played in some spring games with the Cleveland Indians, but here he is in succession facing Jake Peavy and now LaTroy Hawkins, who's played in the major leagues now for 14 years. 1 ball and no strikes, and they rave about Weglars and his ability to work the count. Yes, he can swing for the fences, but this young man has a tremendous eye for the strike zone.
Sure does. A .396 on base percentage with Kinston in A ball for Cleveland last year, and without a doubt one of the organization's top hitting prospects. And Jamie, you have to marvel over how the ball jumps off his bat. We've watched him over the course of 4 or 5 days take batting practice, and it's like few when you see that ball jump off the bat the way it does Weglars. It's pretty impressive.
He's got the huge forearms and says it's his dad Stan who brought the size to the family. 3-0 pitch, and he watches it go by for strike 1. Hawkins last year split the year with the Houston Astros and the New York Yankees. Had a save along the way, a 3.92 ERA. 3-1 pitch now to Weglars, and he looks at it for ball 4.
Well, Ernie Whitt mentioned it over the course of, he's got a lot of pop when that ball jumps off his bat, but the plate discipline Ernie Whitt feels is already at a major league level. He works Hawkins 3-0. Hawkins comes back with a 3-0 strike, and then on the 5th pitch of the 6th pitch, rather, the plate appearance, able to take the walk.
Peter Orr now 0 for 1. Orr was the only starting player for Canada in that 2006 upset of the Americans who didn't get a hit in the ball game. He went 0 for 5. He represented Canada at the Olympic Games in Athens in 2004. Facing LaTroy Hawkins with Weglars leading off first. One down in the 0-1 pitch. Ripped into the seats and foul.
Ernie Whitt with that lineup dynamic with Orr in the 9 spot as your second leadoff guy. I think he's a real important piece to this lineup insofar as his ability to get on base will help turn that lineup over, and you get back to Barnwell, a good on-base guy, and then you get to the most feared part of that Canadian order, starting with Russell Martin in the 2-hole.
McCann does a lovely job of keeping that in front of him. It's 1-2. You know, Sam, Peter Orr in just his second year in the Nationals organization.
And this is a lot harder than it looks. A short hop, much easier for a catcher to block. Those ones that are 10 feet out, way harder to block. But McCann stood his ground. Nice job there to keep him in front of him.
To continue, Orr might be better served being in camp with the Nationals right now. They'd get a better look at him, but he said there's no way I was going to miss this. Hawkins with the pitch. Down low, 2-2.
3 years on the opening day lineup in the Atlanta Braves, and I think Washington is fairly familiar with what they're going to get out of Orr. But being one of those guys who spent time up and down, you're right, Jamie, being there would be ultimately important. But an opportunity to play with this group, well, for Orr, it's 2 in a lifetime now, having participated in those 6.
The kick and the deal. Strike 3. Peter doesn't like it, but there are 2 away.
And surely not only did Orr think this pitch was away, but he thought it was low as well. It's a fastball from Hawkins that does get some plate, but then again might have been a little low, and Orr does his best to try and watch it go by, and awfully disappointed with the call made there by Marvin Hudson.
That brings Chris Barnwell back to the plate, the leadoff man for Canada. Barnwell was born in Jacksonville, Florida, but his dad, Timothy, who sadly passed away in October, comes from Shelburne, Nova Scotia. He rolls it toward third. It goes by a right. Jeter gets the force, and Hawkins comes in, walks 1, but has a clean 4th beyond that as the Americans are down by a run against Team Canada. You're watching the World Baseball Classic on Rogers Sportsnet.
Jim Lang here in the Sportsnet studios for this World Baseball Classic update brought to you by the Bank of Montreal. Now, there was some late action in Pool A action late Friday night that you'll want to check out. Ichiro Suzuki in Japan can advance out of Pool A with a victory over Korea. Japan leading 5-2. Soichi Moriata with a 3-run slobber knocker. How do you say slobber knocker in Japanese? I'll have to look that up. 8-2 Japan. And then Aruki Nagaigama with the bouncer. It'll eat up the third baseman in each row with that blinding speed. He will score. Top of the 4th, Japan now with a 9-2 lead. Now, there's a mercy rule in the World Baseball Classic. And this is why I bring it up. Kenji Jojima, a 2-run blast. Japan wins 14-2 by the mercy rule, and they advance to the next round.
It is darn close to a sellout at Rogers Center today. There's the odd empty seat in the upper deck. This crowd is certainly enjoying what they're seeing in the opening game of pool play here in Toronto as Canada leads the United States 2-1. And we're glad that you've joined us coast to coast on Rogers Sportsnet. Jamie Campbell and Sam Cosentino. And Sam, who would have guessed that the man who makes millions playing in the major leagues, Jake Peavy, left before the man who tries to scratch a living out in professional ball in Korea in Mike Johnson. But Johnson continues to go strong on the hill for Team Canada.
And that's it for Johnson. He continues to throw strikes. A bit of a hiccup in the second inning with back-to-back walks, but other than that, he's been around the plate most of the time.
Quickly, 2 strikes on Kevin Youkilis. Almost got him to chase there. It's 1-2. Youkilis will bat first in the 4th. Adam Dunn is on deck for the Americans. He'll be followed by Ryan Braun. He'll slowly bring that right hand down the handle of the bat. And on the 1 and 2, drives the ball in the air to right field, sending Stairs back, and this one is up and over and gone. Tie game in Toronto.
No stranger to the hitting background here at the Rogers Center. Youkilis has done this a time or two before. He's got good power to all fields, and it's not the way you'd probably teach hitting, but it works very well for Youkilis.
So the key for Johnson now, don't get rattled, because here's Adam Dunn. I remember when Mike Johnson made his big league debut in Texas for the Baltimore Orioles. As we look at Youkilis's swing,
rather unorthodox, but he's able to generate unbelievable bat speed. And the thing you notice, no matter what the setup is like, it's about getting that ball or the bat head out in front. And Youkilis does that about as good as anyone. Not the most orthodox way to set up, but it works for Youkilis, and it worked pretty well there.
To finish that story down in Texas in '97, Johnson came in to face some big Texas hitters, gave up a home run to Mickey Tettleton in his first inning of Major League ball, and figured, okay, from here, I got to settle down and realize this is the big stage. Maybe he is a little rattled as he ends up walking Adam Dunn.
There's that ball hit to the right center gap by Youkilis. It just clears the wall over the head of Matt Stairs to tie this game. And for Youkilis, one thing you really have to appreciate, he never gives an at-bat away.
So here comes a visit from Canada's pitching coach, Denny Boucher. He'll take some time to speak with Mike Johnson. And it looks like right-hander Chris Begg is up and warming now in the bullpen.
And so Denny Boucher just buying a little time right now for Begg to get loosened up. Johnson came into this inning with just 45 pitches, so a lot of leeway to work with. But after a home run to Youkilis and now a walk to Adam Dunn, that starts to get things loose in the bullpen.
So Ryan Braun is 0 for 1. He hit into a fielder's choice in the second inning. Nobody out here. Adam Dunn, the man at first. And Braun looks at a strike. Ernie Witt made the point a few days ago that the toughest part about today's game will be managing the pitchers, knowing that they've got to save some bullets, perhaps, depending on how things go, perhaps for what might be an elimination game tomorrow.
Well, there's no question that's the toughest part for any manager in this event, how you handle your pitchers. And Jamie, it's not just pitch counts as designated by the World Baseball Classic rules, but it's also some intervention from Major League Baseball teams, in as much as that they at times put restrictions above and beyond what the World Baseball Classic has.
Here's the star of the Milwaukee Brewers. 2 strikes on Braun. Johnson with the pitch, and it's fouled away. Now Braun plays, as I mentioned, for the Milwaukee Brewers, and I'm not joking here. His mom, Diane, is by trade a brewer. She works for Anheuser-Busch in Southern California.
And a good hack there by Braun, a young player who's achieved a lot of success at the big league level, and what a find for the Brewers and a very good young team.
Got him to wave. Braun goes, and he's gone.
And there's Mike Johnson showing a ton of confidence in the breaking ball. Martin sets up away. He wants that ball down, and indeed he gets it down, getting Braun to chase. And what an amount of trust that must be displayed between a pitcher and catcher that have never worked before. Johnson's thing was, I'm going to tell Russell what I throw, but I'm going to leave it in the hands of Russell Martin to call the game that he knows best based on his knowledge of the hitters.
Brian McCann And a ball hit high, deep right field, and it is gone. And now the U.S. is on top. You could see before that swing, Russ Martin wanted the ball up. It was certainly left up.
23 home runs for the Braves catcher last year, and here he makes no mistake as this ball is up in an area to allow McCann to get good extension, and he has done all the damage here so far for Team USA. Picked up a sac fly RBI in inning number 2, bringing Kevin Youkilis home, and then a 2-run shot here to bring Dunn home and give the U.S. a 2-run lead.
2 home runs in the inning for the United States. Victorino falls behind 0-2. Youkilis led off this half of the inning with a solo shot. And after the walk to Dunn and a strikeout of Ryan Braun, Brian McCann parks it in right field. In the air, back of second, and Barnwell calls for it.
That's an important out for Mike Johnson, as he's now at the 61 pitch count. Gives up the home run to Youkilis earlier in the inning. And then Brian McCann, a 2-run shot a couple of batters later.
Strike one to Pedroia. Davey Johnson, who is the manager for the United States, was a bench coach in '06 under Buck Martinez. And he wasn't at all convinced back then that all of the American players came ready to play. Now they're ready to play here as Pedroia grounds out, and that'll allow Johnson to get through the 4th, but he does so giving up 2 home runs. One of them a 2-run shot from Brian McCann, and the United States has a 4-2 lead. You're watching the World Baseball Classic on Rogers Sportsnet. Coming up next in Pool A, Panama takes on Puerto Rico. We'll be seeing Alex Rios play for that Puerto Rican team. Russ Martin with a blooper toward right field, charging hard is Dunn, and he makes the catch. One away here in the 5th inning in a game led by the United States 4-2.
Well, that ball hangs up just long enough for Dunn to get under the Russell Martin pop fly.
New pitcher for the United States, left-hander Matt Thornton, now with the Chicago White Sox. Former first-round draft pick of the Seattle Mariners back in 1998. He's got a big arm. 77 strikeouts last year in 74 appearances for Chicago. Joey Votto at the dish now, 2 for 2. He singled in the 1st and hit a solo home run to right field in the 3rd.
Thornton, a fastball slider guy, and you can see the life on the fastball.
He doesn't take much time getting rid of Votto.
And again, a good fastball there by Thornton. He makes quick work of Joey Votto. That's one thing about Thornton. He'll come in there and work quickly. And I think when you have a pitcher that works quickly, it gives your teammates a lot of confidence in you, and it allows your defense to remain at the ready.
Morneau. And that ball is headed for the seats and left.
2008, Morneau was able to hit .284 with 7 home runs against left-handed pitching. And Davey Johnson is a guy who likes to try and get those matchups, especially as the game progresses. And I'm sure this is a matchup he likes here, lefty against lefty.
You hear talk about how players who took part in the WBC in '06 were taxed enough that many of them went out and had tough seasons in the big leagues afterward. Jake Peavy among them, but not Justin Morneau, who took home the American League MVP. And he flies into left. Coming in is Braun, and it's a 1-2-3 inning for Matt Thornton. To the bottom of the fifth after this, with Jeter, Jones, and Wright scheduled to hit for Team USA. They lead by 2 here in Toronto. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the World Baseball Classic Incorporated and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. Derek Jeter strides to the batter's box. His club ahead by 2. Bottom of the fifth inning upcoming on Jamie Campbell with Sam Cosentino. And a new man on the mound for Team Canada. Chris Begg of Uxbridge, Ontario, takes over for Mike Johnson.
Begg will take one last look around before he gets this at bat started against Jeter, and this is an important event for Begg, who right now doesn't have a baseball job.
He's a man out of work as he faces Derek Jeter. He was with the San Francisco Giants organization, but was cut from the AAA Fresno Grizzlies back in July. He's played a lot of international baseball for Canada. Twice he's represented the country in the Olympics and pitched in the World Cup in 2006. So to a degree, like Mike Johnson, this is an audition. The stage is yours, Chris Begg.
Oh, it sure is. And when scouts know you from what you've done in the minor leagues, and then you add to here to get on a chance to pitch on a big stage against major league hitters, which you haven't done much of throughout the course of your career, you're trying to do the same things as Mike Johnson. Be calm, be cool, be collected out there, stay around the plate, and possibly buy himself a job for the upcoming season.
A ball and 2 strikes now to Derek Jeter, and that hops off the mound into center field. So Jeter's aboard, and he's 2 for 3.
Well, Derek Jeter's so good at being able to hit the ball away and hit the ball down and away. And he's able to take that pitch from Begg and bring it right back up the middle.
Mike Johnson acquitted himself very well in his start today against the United States. Those 4 innings, allows 4 runs on 4 hits. And now a pinch runner now for Jeter as Jimmy Rollins comes off the bench to take over. What a luxury for Davey Johnson.
And I find it a little surprising that Johnson makes this move this early. When he spoke yesterday about the dilemma of getting playing time for both Jeter and Rollins, he said, I really want those guys to play 9 innings. It's tough enough to come up and be able to not feel as comfortable in your first couple at bats, and usually by at bat number 3 you get it figured out. Well, it wasn't much of a problem for Jeter, but now Rollins has to come in fresh. 47 stolen bases last year, and the thinking must be to try and get him over here early in the inning and maybe add that 3rd run.
A strike to Chipper Jones. Yesterday, Davey Johnson said his plan was simple. Jeter would start this game, Jimmy Rollins would start the second game. It's that tap dance that you have to do as a manager of a team like this with 2 outstanding all-star type players.
It's a dilemma that he loved to have. And when you look at Chipper Jones, who's DHing this game, he's played some outfield, he's played some third base. You have David Wright there as well. I mean, you have Braun in left field. The possibilities are endless with the depth in this Team USA lineup.
A ball and a strike now to Jones. That's off the plate for 2-1. Back in '06, in that upset victory, the Canadians took an 8-0 lead, and it was Begg who came in and really allowed the Americans to get back into it. In the 5th inning of that game, he gave up 3 singles and a double. and was replaced by Eric Sear, who then gave up a 3-run home run to Jason Varitek. And by the end of the 6th inning, it was 8-6 for Canada, but they were able to hold on thanks to some outstanding relief pitching from not only Matheson and Steve Green, who got the save. Green is on the staff once again here in 2009.
You go back to the first inning in that game, bases loaded. This was the gentleman at the plate that Adam Lowen was able to get out en route to 3 2/3 of scoreless baseball.
2 balls and 2 strikes. Rollins on first. A swing and a miss from Jones, and he goes down. So Jones is now 0 for 3.
Well, Chris Begg has Jones fooled once again. Just a little tardy in the fastball and a swing where he thought he was going to get a little something different. And for Jones, second strikeout of the game. He struck out looking in the first against Mike Johnson.
David Wright steps in again. He's 0 for 2. Your 3 and 4 hitters for the United States now a combined 0 for 5. Rollins pinch running for Jeter at first, 1 gone. Chris Begg sets and fires. Liner to right field, and comes Stairs, 2 out.
Wright looks back in the disappointment of hitting a ball hard and being robbed, but that's baseball for you. The ball was smoked, and it landed right in the glove of Stairs, who was perfectly positioned in right field.
Kevin Youkilis with a walk and a home run. Rollins on the move. Martin to throw, and he got it.
Pretty tough to run against Russell Martin here with that mask curved off to the side of his face. He gets Rollins.
Here's the schedule for tomorrow in the World Baseball Classic. China and Korea in Group A in an elimination game. In Group B, South Africa takes on Cuba. The Dominican Republic lost earlier today to the Netherlands, so they'll play against the loser of Panama and Puerto Rico, which you will see coming up after this broadcast. So interesting developments all round, and of course at 8 Eastern time tomorrow, the winner of this game takes on the winner of the game coming up a little later, Venezuela, and they've got fans in the stands already, takes on Italy here in Toronto. Joel Hanrahan of the Washington Nationals is now on in relief of Matt Thornton, as Davey Johnson has brought in his 4th pitcher of the day.
Hanrahan saved 9 of 13 games after John Rauch was dealt from the Nationals to the Diamondbacks. Features a fastball, slider, will occasionally mix in a change, but for the most part a 2-pitch guy.
Well, he opens by walking Jason Bay, and that's a good start for a team looking for some runs. Team Canada took the lead in the top of the 1st inning after Russ Martin walked. Joey Votto pushed him to 3rd with a base hit, and Justin Morneau brought home Martin on a ground ball. The United States was able to tie it in the 2nd inning, but Canada took the lead in the 3rd on a Joey Votto solo home run. The U.S. then lit up Mike Johnson for 3 in the 4th inning. Youkilis went deep, and Brian McCann did 2 with a man on. And so they lead it 4-2 as Matt Stairs faces Hanrahan. And he bombs this ball to left field. Braun races back and leaps to make the catch. Great contact by Stairs, but it falls into the glove of the Brewer.
Great athleticism put on display by Ryan Braun, who initially took 1 step in before realizing that this ball had a little more juice on it than he expected. He goes back, makes a jump at the last second, able to corral that ball, hard hit from Stairs. Always a tough proposition. Left-handed hitter going to left. That ball moving away from you, but Braun tracked it beautifully.
And Braun rarely plays here. In fact, he probably hasn't played here as a member of the Brewers. And as you know, Sam, that bank of lights up there above the 500 level can really cause some trouble for the outfielders here.
It sure can. With that line drive especially, it tends to stay in that bank of lights a little longer than, let's say, a fly ball, but great concentration on the part of Braun.
Back comes Mark Teahen, who was 0 for 2. And he heads for the gap, right center field. Dunn over to cut it off. As Bay turns for third, Teahen into second, a double.
Well, this is a great play by Adam Dunn because he gets over in a hurry to cut this ball off. Bay is on the move immediately. He knows this ball is in the gap, and look at Dunn lumber over. He cuts it off right there. A quick throw to the infield. Bay has to be held up at third base as Teahen gets in there with a double, and a very key play by Dunn to save a run.
So the weight on the shoulders now of 21-year-old Nick Weglars. Weglars 0 for 1. He walked in the fourth. Brian McCann, a very good catcher defensively, and shows it there. Weglars really felt the pressure at the Beijing Olympics, where manager Terry Pull had him up in the 4 and 5 slot. Here hitting 8th for Team Canada. He's surrounded by stars. Nice grab by Hanrahan, who drops the ball, but he has time to get Weglars.
Hanrahan having to react quickly and not only deal with a hard hit ball, but a broken bat head as well. Both coming his way. Hanrahan picks it up, takes that check home to first base. Bay has to retreat, go back to third. And you can see here, Bay keeping his eye on it, 2 steps forward, realizes that, hey, pitcher Hanrahan has the ball. I have to get back to my base. And Weglars thrown it rather easily over at first.
2 out in the 6th. Team Canada with 2 men in scoring position, down by 2. Peter Orr takes a cut. It's 0-1.
Good breaking ball to start it there for Hanrahan, knowing that there's a little excitement in the building, that Orr might be a little over anxious on that first pitch, and he was.
Orr goes again, and suddenly he's in a hole. 0-2.
The ultimate in competition, teammate against teammate. Hanrahan of the Nationals against Peter Orr of the Nationals.
Gets away from the catcher. Here comes Bay, and Canada's back on the board. A wild pitch, and it cuts the lead to 4-3.
Well, when you're at third base, you're taught to look at the flight of the ball. As soon as you see it, it's on a downward plane, you have to be ready to go. Jason Bay sees that it's a breaking ball in the dirt, no hesitation on his part whatsoever, and scores before McCann could get over and get a throw off.
And on the play, Teahen advances to third, so now Peter Orr knows the tying run is 90 feet away. On the ground though to first. Taken by Youkilis, and that'll do it. Still, they get one and close the gap. It's now the United States 4 and Canada 3. We will return here on Rogers Sportsnet. Recapping today's ball game, Joey Votto in the 3rd inning with a solo home run against Jake Peavy gives Canada a 2-1 lead, but back come the Americans. Youkilis and then McCann with a man on made it 4-2. On a wild pitch have added one more to make it 4-3, and that's where we are as we hit the bottom of the 6th inning. I'm Jamie Campbell, alongside Sam Cosentino. So glad you've joined us today on Rogers Sportsnet as Chris Begg faces Kevin Youkilis. What an atmosphere here in Toronto today. Well over 40,000 people in the seats. A wonderful sight to see this building, for the most part, packed.
You can always tell there's good buzz, that when you and I aren't speaking, you can hear all the voices in the background.
Youkilis pops it up down the line. Morneau out for a look, but it's a souvenir.
You hear Youkilis right away after he hit that ball, disappointed with the swing he took. He was able to have enough curl on it to send it about 6 rows into the seats in foul territory, first base side.
He is among the most intense players in the big leagues, and we know this based on our conversations with Greg Zahn, who we worked with during the playoffs, and would obviously know a lot about who's intense and who's not, considering everybody hits in front of him. Begg into his windup on the 2-1. Both bullpens are now busy. Begg is the second pitcher for Canada. He relieves Mike Johnson, who went a fairly impressive 4 innings. Chris Leroux, property of the Florida Marlins, is throwing in the Canadian pen. And here's Youkilis with a long shot left field, and it's just foul.
And isn't that the epitome of Kevin Youkilis? We've seen him walk and score a run in this game back in the second. We've seen him hit a ball to the right center gap, and here on this pitch inside, he turns on it in a hurry, so much so that he just yanked it foul.
So the 3-2 offering from Begg, and he goes the other way.
What a dangerous hitter. And again, how many times have we seen this, Jamie, in our meetings between the Blue Jays and the Red Sox? He just does not give the at-bat away, and that's the thing you have to most appreciate. You talked about the intensity, and here he is. He'll foul off pitches for an hour if you want him to.
In the end, Youkilis draws the walk. He did that once already in this game. Well, Canada got the crowd into it right in the first inning with a run to take the lead. The United States, though, was able to tie in the bottom of the second. Joey Votto with a solo home run to give Team Canada the lead. And Jake Peavy, who started for the United States, went only 3 innings, allowing a couple of runs on 2 hits. It wasn't the sharpest Jake Peavy we've seen.
No, and I think Canada came out and executed its game plan with Peavy on the mound, a guy who they knew his pitch count is normally a little higher than most. Worked him for a couple of walks in the game, 3 walks. He had a hit batsman as well, and able to dispose of Peavy rather early.
Adam Dunn has done nothing but walk in this game. Once in the second, once in the fourth. Perhaps the Canadian pitchers are treading carefully when it comes to Dunn.
So much power, you have to be careful, especially with somebody on.
Sam, luckily neither you or I have to go up into the rafters up near the roof here at Rogers Center and provide that kind of a look, but that is incredible.
Scary proposition indeed.
As Begg throws the 2-1, hit hard by Dunn, and that's trouble. It's gone. Adam Dunn with a home run into the seats in left center field, and the Americans add to their lead. It's now 6-3.
That is just raw power. Adam Dunn with a raw power display. This ball hit into the first deck here in left center field. And Adam Dunn, a left-handed hitter, even though he doesn't get all of it, he surely gets enough of it. Look at that ball running away, and look at Dunn go down and get it. Normally a left-handed hitter will like that ball down and in. But even that ball down and away that Dunn was able to hit, he's so big, he's still able to get extension and drive that ball out.
And that is exactly why the Washington Nationals put 2 years and $20 million in front of Adam Dunn about a month ago. So the United States now with 3 home runs in the ball game. The latest, a 2-run shot right here, gives them a 6-3 lead.
Look at him go down and get that ball.
Ryan Braun with nobody out and nobody on, pops it up. Martin over toward the dugout. And it just falls out of his reach.
And surely a vow of silence taken there by Team USA so as not to help Martin in locating himself, knowing that the dugout steps are just very close to him.
Certainly a quick scan of the U.S. roster tells me there isn't a Los Angeles Dodger down there that's going to come to his aid.
Now surely they'd have helped him had he fallen in, but they weren't telling him how close he was, I'll tell you that.
1 ball, 2 strikes now to Braun. And Martin scoops it off the dirt.
There's the benefit we have of that camera up top and over the field as Martin gives chase, but to no avail.
Line right at third, and there's Tian.
Another hard hit ball off Begg after walking. Youkilis gives up the home run to Adam Dunn to left center, and Braun struck that with authority, but right at third baseman Mark Tian.
Davey Johnson watches Ernie Whitt come out to the hill. And it looks like Chris Begg will call it a day. Chris LaRue trots in from the bullpen. So Whitt, with 1 out here in the 6th inning, makes a pitching change and brings in a hard-throwing right-hander. We'll take a short break, step out for a minute, and return to the Rogers Center. We bring you back inside Rogers Center. Jamie Campbell and Sam Cosentino watching a replay of Brian McCann's home run in the 4th inning. McCann has seen enough of Chris LaRue throwing his warm-up pitches and makes his way toward the plate. Ernie Whitt gives the hook to Chris Begg and now brings in LaRue, who is a 24-year-old born in Montreal but lives in Mississauga.
Fastball slider pitcher. Playing with Jupiter, the A-ball team for the Florida Marlins last year.
He was put on the 40-man roster of the Florida Marlins. They like his stuff. And someday soon you might see LaRue pitching in the big leagues with Florida. Right now he faces Brian McCann, who gets under this one and pops it up in shallow center field or waves off Barnwell, and there's 2 out.
Good communication on the part of Peter Orr. And that up top view hit right into camera range.
Hey, grab that for me, Sam, will you?
As Peter Orr settles under it to make the 2nd out of the inning.
Victorino steps in now, kicks the leg and holds back. Ball 1.
A guy with decent speed who's not afraid to drop down the bunt once in a while. Both corners playing well back.
And he pops it up. An easy play for Barnwell. And LaRue does his job in relief of Chris Begg. Still through 6 innings. After the home run by Dunn, the United States enjoys a 3-run lead. Power to opposite field on display here in Toronto.
Go to sportsnet.ca and register for 2 fantasy baseball pools. Join Diamond Picks and get prizes by picking winning teams. And be the GM of your own team with Sportsnet's Fantasy Baseball Commissioner Pool. Register now on your desktop, on the go, sportsnet.ca.
How about that play? Wow.
Here's the in-game box score. And a look at what Team Canada has done. Joey Votto with the big swing so far. His solo home run in the third. One of 3 runs scored by the Canadians. They currently trail at 6-3 at the hands of the United States. Chris Barnwell, the leadoff man, is 0 for 3. He struck out in the first, grounded out in the second, hit into a fielder's choice in the fourth, and he faces a man with a nasty arm. There's Scott Shields of the Los Angeles Angels on the hill for the United States.
Throws extremely well. His numbers last year, 64 games, a 6-4 record, 63 in the third innings pitched, 64 strikeouts. So this is a guy who's used to a 7th, 8th inning role in front of Frankie Rodriguez, K-Rod, before he departed ways with the Angels, and a guy who's also closed before. So a great option for Davey Johnson to go to here, that he can give him 2 innings of work and bridge the gap to whatever closer Johnson feels is necessary, or a guy who can give you 1 solid inning as well and do it effectively by striking out hitters. Good fastball, tight rotation on the curveball, and Shields will occasionally mix in the changeup as well.
Shields, one of 4 returning players from 2006 for this U.S. team. Facing Barnwell, who got a cup of coffee in the major leagues with the Milwaukee Brewers back in 2006. Got into 13 games and managed his first big league hit against Detroit's Nate Robertson. There's a good look at the battery. Shields and McCann. Ground ball for Barnwell. Picked up by Rollins. 1 gone. Defensively, Curtis Granderson has taken over center field for the United States, pushing Shane Victorino over to right. So Adam Dunn now out of the game.
Pretty good day for Dunn on the box score. He'll go 1 for 1 with 2 runs scored, 2 runs batted in. Perfect day for Dunn.
Russ Martin 0 for 2. Martin got this place buzzing after walking in the first and coming around on a ground ball by Justin Morneau to give Canada an early 1-0 lead. The seats were barely warm and the place was loud. Line drive shot left field, and it's gone. How about Russ Martin?
That thing went 0 to 60 like a Ferrari. A line shot that barely hit above the wall. But you could tell by Russ, and look at by Martin's reaction. He gets the head out there on this Shields delivery and deposits right into the bullpen. Good catch there. I think it was Steve Green in the pen for Team Canada.
Well, just when you thought the U.S. might be getting comfortable with their lead, back come the Canadians. They scratched out a run in the 6th inning on a wild pitch, and now with 1 gone, Russ Martin is able to close to within 2 with a solo home run. And the heart of the order coming up now with Votto at the dish, Justin Morneau on deck.
'84 runs driven in for Joey Votto last year. Only Giovanni Soto, the catcher of the Chicago Cubs, able to beat him out for that Rookie of the Year in the National League. This is a guy who hit 20 times in the 3-hole for Dusty Baker last year. So a spot he's very familiar with. And there were some considerations as to whether he'd hit 7th, play left field. Ernie Whitt having to make those decisions with Nick Weglars battling a bit of an ankle injury. Weglars healthy enough to play. Votto DHs and hits 3rd.
Slice to left, base hit Votto. What an afternoon for Joey Votto. 3 for 4.
And you know, Jamie, I read into Votto's comments a lot about him being comfortable, and it can be overwhelming as a young player from the area. You get home, you have ticket requests, you have family members who want to see you, you want to be able to sleep in your own bed. In that series in June, he was overwhelmed by all of that, and you talked about him getting back into the routine of taking the GO train here, the public transit system, to get to the ballpark and really feeling comfortable, allowing him to refocus on the job at hand, and he's done that here today.
Tying run at the dish and Justin Morneau. Justin grew up in New Westminster, idolizing Larry Walker, and takes every chance he can to play for his country. Oh, so familiar with the stuff of Scott Shields.
And you'd have to say this guy's the leader in Team Canada. There's no question. The vocal leader, spiritual leader, and mighty hack there. But you can just tell he has a very outgoing personality. He likes to joke around with the guys and keep them loose. He's got a great contract in his hand. He's had success as an American League MVP. And I think players on Team Canada really gravitate towards Morneau as the guy they'd like to pattern themselves after.
1 down, 7th inning. 2 balls and a strike on Morneau. And it's foul. You know, Morneau has matured over the years. In his rookie season with Minnesota, Torrey Hunter came very close to belting him because he perceived a really lax attitude from the young Canadian. And Morneau admits he thought it was easy in the early going. He's grown up a lot since then. Waves at that one and goes down on strikes. So Shields gets a very important out here with a man on in the 7th inning.
Votto at first base, Morneau trying to do his best to move him over, but Shields is able to go to that tight spinning curveball. It ends up in the dirt out of the zone, and Morneau goes after it.
Jason Bay again. He's walked twice, scored once, struck out once, and looks at strike 1 from Shields.
Shown a lot of patience has Bay in this game with his 2 walks.
Turns away from the pitch, 1-1. And of course, Bay would love to get on because Team Canada has a left-hander in Matt Stairs on deck.
Shields missing his spot, the target low and away from McCann, and that ball up and in. So that's what you'll see from pitchers, especially early in the spring.
Shields part of the U.S. team that Canada, in the words of Morneau, snuck up on in 2006. That day they got a marvelous pitching performance from Adam Loewen, who went 3 2/3, didn't give up a run. In the dirt, ball 2.
See Bay entertaining some thoughts, but very quickly able to hold back.
There's left-handed power on deck. Should Bay get on, Matt Stairs would get his turn against Shields. Two-two pitch. Now 3-2. A good eye from Bay, and he's proved it in this game, walking twice. Shields about to throw his 25th pitch of the inning. Look at this crowd. Ball 4.
Well, Jamie, Shields was the perfect candidate to start this inning for Davey Johnson. A ton of success against right-handers, but his ability to get left-handers out allows them to maintain the mound in this situation. You have Stairs coming up with a lot of power. Last year, Shields holding left-handed hitters to just a 209 average. And getting a chance now to face Stairs to try and close out the inning for Team USA. Yet not an easy task with 2 aboard.
The Americans get left-hander J.P. Howell up in the bullpen. Stairs at the plate, 2 on and 2 out, and he's going for it on the first pitch. Swing and a miss, and strike 1. And Sam Shields can't exactly pitch around Stairs here because he's got a pretty good left-hander to deal with on deck in Mark Teahen.
He's already got a hit in this game, and Shields realizing that Stairs looking for that first pitch fastball, spins a curveball in him in the dirt. Stairs left nothing in the tank.
Breaking ball slashed foul, and so Matt is behind 0-2. Bay at first, Votto up at second. The United States ahead by 2. 2 gone, 7th inning. Shields facing Stairs. The 0-2 pitch is high.
Good pitch by Shields. Just try and climb the ladder a little bit, get Stairs to chase. There's a good battle here between 2 very successful veterans.
Does he hold back? Indeed. 2 balls and 2 strikes to the fun-loving, beer-drinking Fredericton, New Brunswick native, Matt Stairs.
Forgot hockey coach.
And he loves his hockey. Breaking ball and a dandy, and that gets Matt Stairs. Shields works his way out of a jam, leaving 2 men on base. So we'll go to the bottom of the 7th inning with the Americans leading by a pair. But Canada closes the gap thanks to Russ Martin. The Americans have scored 6 times in the ball game, and it's come from throughout the lineup. Derek Jeter, before he left, went 2 for 3, a single and a double. Home runs from Youkilis, Dunn, and a 2-run shot from Brian McCann. As the United States in front here, 6-4 in the bottom of the 7th inning. As really the ambassador to the WBC, Tommy Lasorda, looks on. He threw out the first pitch. A first pitch, oddly enough, caught by Matt Stairs, who proved in October that he's a bit of a Dodger killer. And perhaps Canada's next great pitching star takes the hill for this inning. Philippe Aumont, just 20 years of age, from the Gatineau area.
You have to like that strikeout to walk ratio if you're a young pitcher and you're able to come in and do that even at the A-ball level. I think he's still a guy who's still working on replicating his delivery and being able to find that control and consistency necessary to make the next step in the minor league ladder.
Mid-90s stuff with movement, although that's pretty straight. He faces the top of the order in Pedroia, Rollins, and Chipper Jones, scheduled to bat 3rd. Aumont, big, tall, and nasty, 6'7". Stroke to right field. Stairs on the run. It's over his head. Plays the carom. Pedroia heads for second, and he opens with a double.
What a shocker. Dustin Pedroia with a double. Led the American League with 54 doubles last year. And he never leaves anything in the bank when he goes to take a hack. For a little guy, he takes a mighty big swing, but his ability to make contact with a big swing is what has made him successful throughout his young career. And there's a pretty good sampling of why this guy was the American League's most valuable player last year. A doubles machine.
In fact, the last time a second baseman won the American League MVP, you've got to go back to 1959 and Nellie Fox of the Go-Go White Sox. So Jimmy Rollins, who took over as a pinch runner in the 5th inning for Derek Jeter, gets his first at bat, and he faces Omont. Waves and misses at the pitch, 0-1. Omont was taken 11th overall in the 2007 draft by the Seattle Mariners. That's the 3rd highest a Canadian has ever been taken in the June draft.
For the most part, a 3-pitch pitcher, the fastball, curveball, slider. He's working on a changeup, but that's a work in progress and something we're not likely to see much of here in this event.
And you talked earlier, Sam, about pitch restrictions for the tournament. This young man is under pitch restrictions by the Seattle Mariners.
The Mariners want him to come in a clean inning, and a clean inning is referred to as the start of an inning, and here Omont gets that opportunity.
Slashed and just evades third baseman Mark Teahen. Omont covers the bag, but Rollins is able to pick up a base hit on the play.
Well, Jamie, this is a situation where Mark Teahen is fooled by the swing. He reacts quickly to the swing, but the ball doesn't move as quickly as the swing would indicate. His jump just a little early, and on his way back down is when Teahen makes contact with the ball in his glove and is unable to hang onto it.
At the very least, he gets enough glove on the ball to keep it nearby, because Pedroia has nowhere to go now.
Good base running by Pedroia, too. You're taught when you see that ball in the air to freeze. He froze and realized it wasn't far enough away from Teahen to advance.
So that brings up Chipper Jones, the designated hitter, who was 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. A Hall of Famer in the house, Mike Schmidt, is coaching third base. Maybe the greatest third baseman in the history of the National League.
He had a few in his time. Hall of Famer.
Ball squirts away from Martin. Pedroia bolting for third. Rollins does the same. Both move into scoring position.
Two good base runners in Dustin Pedroia and Jimmy Rollins. Both of them watch the plane of this ball. It gets away from Martin, and there's no hesitation on either one of them to advance.
Second and third for the United States. Nobody out, and a 1-1 from Omont to Jones. In the dirt again, but Martin keeps it in front of him.
And again, I don't think anyone realizes what a tough task it is for a catcher to come in fresh against pitchers he's never caught before. And you get a chance to work with him in the bullpen in a game situation, but remember, Martin only caught one of the 3 pre-tournament games due to an ankle issue that's been nagging him since spring training with the Dodgers before arriving at camp.
2-1 pitch is low. 3-1 on Jones. In fact, the Dodgers put in an appeal to the WBC to try and block Team Canada from utilizing Russ Martin in this tournament. There was some, shall we say, negotiations between Greg Hamilton and those in the front office of the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Oh, and you have to be respectful. I mean, Martin's a huge piece to that ball club in LA. And you have to respect the wishes of the organization for which the player plays for. And so Ernie Whitt made sure to DH him one game, take him out of the lineup, and rest him for another game, and really allow the opportunity for Russell Martin to be at his best for this game here today. Denny Boucher is the pitching coach for Team Canada. He has a few words for Philippe Omont. Omont's English is almost perfect, but I'm sure the two communicating here in French. And when you have Russell Martin, who speaks fluent French as well, a situation where the three are able to communicate there on the mound, with tough David Wright coming up.
Boy, Omont and Martin would make for a great battery. They could communicate by just yelling at each other. Who needs signs Chances are the guy at the plate's not going to have a clue what you're talking about. Left-hander David Davidson from Ford, Ontario, starts to warm. Omont in some trouble here. Bases loaded, 7th inning, nobody out. And first pitch is a ball to David Wright.
You know, that was the one thing that everyone questioned about Team Canada. Is there going to be the pitching? And when you talk to Ernie Whitt and you get a chance to watch these guys, this staff has some good live arms. The one question surrounding the great arm of a lot of these pitchers is their ability to cope with situations such as this. 40,000 people, Team USA on the other side, some potential Hall of Famers and MVPs and All-Stars up and down that USA lineup. How are young arms such as Omont going to be able to react to that situation in this environment? That was the question for Canada coming into this event.
Because this is an environment he's never seen before, as he gets a swing from David Wright.
I mean, you look at Omont in a very short sampling in this game, and I don't think there's any question he has big league stuff. As is the case with most pitchers, is being able to harness that stuff and make that transition from thrower to pitcher.
1 ball and 2 strikes to David Wright. Here's the offering. It's outside. No Eric Bedard, no Ryan Dempster, no Jeff Francis, no Rich Harden. But as Justin Morneau said, like the Minnesota Twins last year after they lost Johan Santana and Torrey Hunter to free agency, we don't focus on what we don't have. We focus on what we have.
And what they have is good.
Broken bat, little flare taken by Barnwell, and everybody stays put.
That reminded me a lot of the ball that Rollins hit to Tien earlier. You see a mighty swing, and then the ball only comes off the bat with limited velocity as Wright gets sawed off. And good composure by Barnwell to just sit back and take it on a little bit of a hop.
Kevin Youkilis has scored 3 times in this ball game. Twice on walks, once on a solo home run. And he goes after the offering from Omont. And this must be interesting for some of these American hitters to get a look at not only Omont's velocity but movement for the first time.
And Youkilis got a pretty good look firsthand there. You felt that Omont would be coming with a first pitch fastball to try and get ahead. He did, but it was up a little for Youkilis.
Strike 2.
And now a good slider to back up that high fastball. It'll be interesting here to see what Martin does with Omont to try and get through this at bat with Youkilis.
Au revoir, Mr. Youkilis. Down on strikes he goes.
Good pitch selection by Russell Martin as he elects to go back to the slider. He wants it down, taps his glove on the ground, and Omont puts it exactly where Martin puts the glove. And Youkilis goes down on a check swing, and again, the call bang on from the first base umpire, Masami Yoshikiwa. Excuse me, Minoru Nakamura.
Don't think Philippe isn't pleased with that one. He's trying to get out of a major jam here. The Americans with the bases loaded, nobody out. But Wright lined out softly, and now Youkilis strikes out. If Omont gets Granderson, this crowd will absolutely erupt.
Rightfully so, for a young guy to be thrown into this situation, to work himself into a jam. The Seattle organization will be watching to see if and how he can escape.
There's Pedroia at third, Rollins at second base, Chipper Jones at first, Omont facing Granderson. 2-0 and a foul.
what luxury it is for Davy Johnson to be able to call on a guy like Curtis Granderson, come off the bench, defensive replacement in the top of the inning, and a chance here now to put some add-on runs for Team USA. What a good-looking young player Granderson is.
Power and speed. Good defensive player too. He rips it foul.
And maybe, going back to the World Series a couple of years ago, one of the nicest people I've ever met in the game. A true, genuine, good-hearted person.
I'd say he takes over that role from Sean Casey, who's no longer playing. Omont a strike away from getting out of this. Here's the pitch, and he got him. Oh my, Philippe Omont. Bases loaded, nobody out, but he didn't seem to mind. We have witnessed a heck of a baseball game here in Toronto this afternoon, and we're glad that you decided to tune in as well on Rogers Sportsnet. Canada took the early lead. The Americans, though, claimed it in the fourth with a couple of home runs and have held on ever since. But Team Canada chips away. Gets a little pitching on the side, too. Philippe Omont in the seventh after loading up the bases. Gets a liner and 2 strikeouts to take care of the Americans. No damage done. So on comes J.P. Howell, who really emerged as a star out of Tampa Bay's bullpen last year and helped propel them to the World Series. He'll take over now in the 8th inning for Scott Shields.
What a season it was for Howell, going 6-1. 3 out of 5 save opportunities.
Backhanded by Youkilis. Howell races to the bag and just gets there in time.
Well, Jamie, we touched on Davy Johnson looking for matchups more and more as the game moved on. And he's got a pretty good matchup now with J.P. Howell in to face a couple of lefties.
Coming up next, Panama takes on Puerto Rico. And the winner of that game has a date with, of all teams, the Netherlands to advance to the next round. So we'll look forward to that upcoming after this game. Here's Philippe Omont with the last out of the 7th inning. And Curtis Granderson saying, what on earth was that?
He started Granderson out 2-0. Granderson ahead in the count. But Omont battled all the way back, got himself in and out of a bases loaded jam. See why the Seattle Mariners are so excited about this guy, why he went so high in the draft.
Here's Nick Weglars in. Lefty versus lefty here. Weglars with light tower power. Well, if he gets a hold of a pitch from Howell, look out. 2 balls and no strikes for the young man from Stevensville, Ontario.
Place discipline for Weglars coming through in the 4th inning. His only time on base in this game. And for Howell, oh so tough on left-handed hitters. He hit just 188 against them last year. Good breaking ball here. A little down, some thought, here in the stands.
Here's the pitch from Howell inside for ball 4. Weglars has walked a couple of times now, and he's on with a man out in the 8th.
Again, so important for these guys at the bottom of the order for Canada to try and turn that lineup around. 1 out in the inning. Weglars draws a walk. It'll be up to Pete Orr now to try and get back to the top.
So once again, Canada's in a situation here where the tying run comes to the plate. On the outside corner for strike one. Ground ball, Pedroia. And a 4-6-3 double play gets Howell out of the 8th inning. Here's the lineup for games tomorrow in the World Baseball Classic. Earlier today, Japan crushed Korea 14-2. So Korea plays an elimination game against China in Group A. And of course, it'll be the games 1 and 2 winners here in Group C in Toronto. So if everything stayed the same here, the United States would play tomorrow against the winner of Italy-Venezuela later tonight. Ryan Braun, a chopper taken by Tien, and he's thrown out on one pitch from Dave Davidson. Davidson takes over on the hill for Philippe Aumont, a left-hander with good sink. He comes from Thorold, Ontario.
One of the best minor league names, the Altoona Curve. Double-A on the Pittsburgh organization in 35 games, walked 36, struck out 51 over 64 2/3 innings of work.
Catcher Brian McCann with the go-ahead home run, a 2-run shot in the 4th inning that came off Mike Johnson. That gave the Americans a lead that they have yet to relinquish.
Pretty good start to the career of this young man. 3 times an All-Star already. It was just a matter of time. I think the Braves knew what they had. It was just a matter of time for McCann to develop into the guy that they thought he would be. And he's been everything and more.
Back in 2007, Davidson dazzled in short time at AAA Indianapolis, the affiliate of the Pittsburgh Pirates, and was a September call-up for the Pirates. 2 big league games for him. He got roughed up in both of them. Here he walks McCann with 1 out.
Well, Davidson likes to consider himself not necessarily a lefty versus lefty guy. And so he faces Braun, the right-hander, McCann, the lefty, and now a switch hitter who will bat from the right side in Victorino.
Shane Victorino steps in against Davidson. Victorino was born and raised in Hawaii and decided for this tournament that he would honor the 50th state by wearing number 50. Taking signs from a Phillies legend. If I'm Victorino, the response is, whatever you say, Mr. Schmidt.
Yes, sir.
That one gets past Tien into left field. So Victorino with a base hit. Up to second is McCann. First and second now for the United States.
Well, after being able to retire Braun on a ground ball to third, McCann comes up with a walk. Victorino with a base hit through the left side. Davey Johnson's Team USA is back in business here in the bottom of the 8th inning.
Well, Ernie Whitt has really become Mr. Canadian baseball when it comes to managing internationally. You know, though he wasn't born in this country and doesn't in fact even hold Canadian citizenship. This now his 6th time at the helm as manager of Team Canada. Got a quick glance there of the lineup card right beside him on the wall in Canada's dugout. Here's Pedroia again. who doubled in his last plate appearance after an 0-for-3 start in the game. What's really hurt Canada in this game is the inability to bring runners in who are in scoring position as J.J. Putz gets ready to come in. Canada 0-for-5 in that respect as it's popped up by Pedroia. Day comes in from center and puts him away.
Teammate to teammate. Pedroia, a Red Sox, to Bay in center field, a Red Sox, and Davidson able to induce a weak fly ball to center for out number 2 in the inning. J.J. Putz, as you mentioned, Jamie, gets loose, and Davey Johnson said, hey, we have a lot of power arms in our bullpen, and oftentimes it takes power arms a little longer to get ready. They're usually ready a little later in the spring. And Putz, who appeared in the game against the Toronto Blue Jays in a pre-tournament game, struggled a little there, and it'll be interesting to see how he reacts in this situation should he be called to duty.
At about this time yesterday, Davey Johnson was asked who his closer was going to be. And his response was simply, we haven't had that meeting yet, because there are a number of candidates, including Heath Bell and Jonathan Broxton. But I think he's going with tenure here. Putz is clearly the most experienced of closers on staff.
And a nice addition for the Mets in the offseason to try and shore up all of New York's bullpen woes. So Davidson and Martin again with that runner on second base. The two unfamiliar with each other. They'll try and get their signs worked out as Marvin Hudson visits the mound to bring Martin back to continue this game.
Two on for the United States. Rawlins at the plate. Davidson with the kick and the delivery. A two-hopper that handcuffs Barnwell, and everybody's safe.
Barnwell, normally very sure-handed, at least to this point in the game, shuffles a couple of steps to his right, and when doing so, he gets that in-between hop that handcuffs him. It bounces off the heel of his glove. You see the two shuffle steps to the right, and wasn't entirely centered over that ball.
Barnwell charged with an error. Mark E6 in your book. And bring Chipper Jones back up with the bases loaded. Jones, a switch hitter, moves around to the other side and takes strike one from Davidson. We talked about Canada being 0-for-5 in runners in scoring position. The United States not much better, 1-for-9 in that respect, but they've got a 2-run lead here and want to pad it, knowing J.J. Putz is warmed and ready in the pen.
Team USA getting some timely hitting. McCann, Youkilis, Dunn, all able to put numbers on the board in a hurry by leaving the yard.
Davidson deals. And it's ball 2. Chipper Jones enters his 16th year with the Atlanta Braves. He'll turn 37 years of age in April. He's got Hall of Fame numbers.
One of the most prolific power hitters. He's a switch hitter.
Little chopper, and that rolls foul.
To me, Chipper's looked a little out of sorts in his at-bats here today. Strikeouts in the first and third. Pulled the ball to the right side in the third inning. And a walk against Omont in the seventh.
Davidson shakes once, likes what he sees now, and sets for the 2-2. There's the pitch. And it's shot foul again.
Well, Davidson likes to sink the ball to right-handers. And with that 2-2 count, we'll see what he offers up here. Both he and Martin having to work in conjunction with one another And not a lot of familiarity there.
Swing and a miss, and he struck him out. Dave Davidson whiffs Chipper Jones and leaves 3 on base. The Americans will leave it up to J.J. Putz to try and shut down Team Canada when we return on Rogers Sportsnet. Great anticipation as we hit the 9th inning here in Toronto. 42,314 in the building, and if you're looking to upset the United States, you'll have to do it against one of the best closers now, setup man with the Mets, J.J. Putz. But you can do it if you bring back the hero from the upset of the U.S. back in 2006, and that just happens to be Adam Stern.
Nice luxury for Witt to be able to go to Stern in this situation against the right-handed Putz. 6-5 record, that ERA close to 4, but the strikeout to innings pitched ratio more than 1.
Stern bats for Chris Barnwell. 3 years ago, he was the starting center fielder for Team Canada and went single, triple, and inside the park home run in 4 plate appearances. Add to that the fact he made 2 incredible catches, one off the bat of Chase Utley. Utley thought he had himself a go-ahead home run.
Due in large part to that game, Stern, the World Baseball Classic's leading hitter, and led in on-base percentage as well. Ernie Witt looking to try and get some of that here in the top of the 9th.
Stern, though, facing Putz, who, as you alluded to, got roughed up in an exhibition game against the Blue Jays a few days back. There's a ground ball. Deep in the hole is Rollins. Good speed, Stern, but he gets him at the bag.
You hear so much about Jimmy Rollins being able to hit, being able to steal bases. But here he puts that cannon of an arm on display. Easy backhand down low to get it. And fires a bullet across to Youkilis, stretches out, and another look at that shows indeed the call was right. Gets Stern by a half a step. Ball in glove, foot, now on bag. Good call over at first.
Give some credit to Minori Nakamura. He's done a workmanlike job as the umpire over at first base today. So with 1 out in the 9th inning, here's Russ Martin, who homered on a line drive, and his last at bat. Win your first 2 in this pool and you're in. Lose 2 and you're gone. It's a double knockout scenario. Martin in the air, deep center field. Granderson heading back to the wall, and it's off the wall. Martin hits second base, and he's got himself a long double.
Team Canada's never say die attitude put on display by their catcher, Russell Martin. This ball hit a ton. He thinks he's got it right here, and all of a sudden realizes that this thing's going to stay in the yard. He picks up speed and ends up arriving at second base with ease. But Putz gets that ball up in the zone just enough for Martin to take advantage and drive it into the left center gap for a double.
Boy, that ball came about 3 feet from going out. And look who's up. Joey Votto. 3 for 4, a home run in the 3rd inning. This place is alive. Votto, as you touched on, put up those tremendous numbers with the Reds this year, and it was an incredibly trying summer for him. After appearing here in Toronto with the Reds in an interleague series, about 3 or 4 weeks later, his dad, Joey Sr., passed away suddenly, and Joey Jr. had to take a couple of weeks away from the Reds. Wouldn't his dad be proud of him right now? 0-1 pitch, and it's off the plate for ball 1.
And I think this is where Votto will most benefit from his relaxation mode, if you will, by being able to sleep in his own bed, by taking the train into the ballpark, by relaxing and focusing on the task at hand. It has served him well to this point.
One out, Martin at second. The 1-1 pitch, and it's high. Let's take you back to the third inning. And this was a no doubt about her.
Off Jake Peavy into the second deck in right center field for Votto. He gets revenge for a 1-for-11 series in June of last year here at the Rogers Center.
Two and two.
Here's the pitch from Putz down in the zone and just a little in. You see Votto pulls off it just a touch before fouling it off.
A few nervous Canadians watching from the bench. Votto looks at that ball down. A full count now, and Justin Morneau is on deck.
And if you're Ernie Witt, you couldn't ask for a better situation. You got the tying run at bat. You've got your 3-4 guys coming up, and everyone in Team Canada's dugout sitting on the edge of his seat.
Oh boy, they're edgy. A full count. Hit hard. On the run, and it gets down. Martin comes around. Votto into second, and Canada's to within one.
Have a day, young man. Have a day. Joey Votto delivers with a double to the right center gap, and Davy Johnson made the necessary defensive changes here, bringing Ganderson into center, moving Victorino over to right. But even with that great speed, this ball hit too far in the gap. Victorino has to chase it down. Initial thoughts by the Team Canada bench that this ball might be hit enough to get out. In fact, just good enough for the Eddie Murphy, Dan Aykroyd trading places.
Here's a shot to short. That'll keep Votto at second. Morneau's thrown out. So two gone now in the ninth inning. This is a position, Sam, you likely want to leave to one of your veterans as Brett Lawrie comes in to pinch run for Joey Votto. And so it is that Jason Bay, with two away, will get a turn here against J.J. Putz. What a day for Joey Votto.
Look at that Team Canada bench.
4 for 5, 2 singles, a double, and a home run. So what can Jason Bay do? Takes a strike. You got a 19-year-old kid in Lawrie standing at second base, representing what would be the tying run here in the top of the ninth. And veteran Jason Bay, 2004 National League Rookie of the Year, at the plate in front of 42,000 people. One strike on him. Here's the pitch. And it's strike two.
Bay has displayed patience all game long. This pitch not to his liking, a little low on the breaking ball from Putz. Good pitch for Putz. Ahead in the count, able to try and get Bay to chase up.
Scott Shields looks on. His job is done. Nervous times for the Americans with a runner at second. 2 out though. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Jason Bay. Puts the pitch, and it's high for ball 2.
And again, just trying to get Bay to chase up in the zone. But Bay looks like he has his midseason eye in form as he allows that to pass. Justin Morneau and company looking on in Team Canada's dugout.
It's already electric in this building. Imagine the charge if Pay can somehow pick up a base hit here. Down for ball 3. And the professional hitter is on deck in Matt Stairs. He might just get a shot.
Stairs getting pretty locked in. I'm just trying to get an indication, a feel for what Putz is going to be able to bring should he get a chance to do something.
This morning, Jason Bay said that when the games began in 2006, he wasn't prepared for the emotional charge he would get by playing for his country. He said, I'm prepared for it this time. Got a good swing.
3-2, you're pretty sure you know what you're going to get, and Putz able to keep this on the outside part. Bay knowing that anything close he's going to have to take a hack at. A pretty good one there.
Almost a roll of the eyes as you saw a close-up of Jason Bay saying, boy, I almost got that one.
Good battle going on here.
Wonderful baseball here. Jason Bay, the hitter, 3-2, 2 gone. Tying run, stands at second. Puts the pitch, and it's in the air, high to right field. Curving, hooking, foul, and out of play.
Nothing like a little suspense here for our first broadcast. This building is electric, isn't it?
We haven't sat down in 3 innings.
And why would you?
Everybody's on edge except it seems for Matt Stairs, who coolly awaits on deck. Putz tries again. Again, it's hit in the air, and this time playable for Victorino. And that will do it as the Americans survive Canada and hang on for a 6-5 victory in the opener today here at Rogers Centre. What an outstanding baseball game.
Just a battle of wits between the two sides. JJ Putz gets in a little trouble in inning number 9. Gives up the double to Votto, scoring Martin, but still able to hang on to it, and that's a ball he's going to keep.
There are a lot of players there breathing a sigh of relief. The game went back and forth and finishes this way.
They knew it, worked the count to 3-2, fouled a couple off. Thought he might be able to fight that pitch, but it wasn't the case, as if it stayed in play for Shane Victorino to make the easy grab and secure a win for Team USA.
So the United States now will get a chance to advance with a victory tomorrow over the winner of Italy-Venezuela. Canada, meantime, gets the day off and will face the loser of Italy and Venezuela on Monday here at Rogers Centre. LaTroy Hawkins, a late addition to the U.S. staff, gets the victory. Mike Johnson acquits himself well over 4 innings but takes the loss. And the save goes to J.J. Putz as the United States, on the strength of 3 home runs, defeats Canada 6-5 in the opener. Still to come tonight, you'll be able to catch Panama and Puerto Rico in Group D. Winner of that game gets an elimination game against Netherlands, who were able to upset the Dominican Republic earlier today. And later tonight, here in Toronto, the second game in the opening day of Group C has Venezuela taking on Italy. So Jason Bay is going to sit back and think about an exciting ball game. 1-1 by the United States this afternoon in Toronto. 3 home runs by the Americans, 2 for Team Canada, but in the end, the Canadians come up just a little short. So we thank you for joining us. For Sam Cosentino, I'm Jamie Campbell. Thank you for watching. We'll be with Team Canada throughout. Right now, stand by for Sportsnet Connected.